Well, good morning, everybody. This is Jeff from Rust Bucket Valley Garage. So the final thing that we're going to be doing on the F-150 before we go for registration and all that kind of jazz is transmission service. Okay, don't know if the transmission has been serviced before. I just pulled the drain plug on the thing and I noticed it's overfilled, so we're going to be changing all that. I want to take care of a little bit of business from the video yesterday that I posted about the spark plug change, and there's a couple of things I left out, and that would be when you take the spark plugs out, they're probably really in there. Make sure the engine is warm before you take and attempt to take the plugs out. Otherwise, the possibility that you can take and mess up the threads that are in the cylinder head. Okay, when you put the plugs back in, put a little bit of anti-seize back on them, and make sure you do not take and get the anti-seize compound on the ceramic or down onto the thread so it'll go in and foul the electrode. And also, these bolts on here that hold the intake manifold down to the cylinder head, you must torque them, and they are torqued to 90 inch-pounds or 10 Newton meters, whichever you prefer. Okay, so let's get on to the transmission oil change. One major difference between the F-150 Ford stuff and mostly every other vehicle that I've seen before is this right here. This is a transmission dipstick, okay? This is the S10. This is a dipstick right here for the transmission fluid, and the dipstick right here for the engine fluid. Engine oil level is right here, okay? But if you take and look under the hood on the F-150, here we are looking under the hood of the F-150, you'll notice something is missing, okay? The F-150 does not have a dipstick per se, okay, where you can very easily take and check the oil level in a transmission. The transmission is a sealed unit, okay? So down on the passenger side of the transmission, there is a cap, and let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so we are under the vehicle. We are on the passenger side. This right here is where the dipstick lives. Okay, this is a 19 millimeter cap that is on here, and you can see there's a little bit of transmission fluid out here. I have the vehicle on ramps. Okay, if you're going to be doing a bunch of stuff on your car, I would definitely suggest you take and get a pair of those. It is a very efficient way and a very safe way to take and work on the underside of your car, and nothing will be falling on you. There's no jacks or jack stands involved. You just go ahead and drive up on them. They're really neat. I really like them. The metal ones, not so much. The plastic ones, I've used these for years and years and years, and no damage. I've had some pretty heavy vehicles on here. I've actually had the GMC 2500 on here, and that is a very heavy truck, and no problems at all. Okay, but what we're going to be doing is, this is a transmission oil pan right here. We're going to be taking all of these bolts out of here, and we're going to be draining the fluid out of it, and we're going to be putting new pan gasket, new filter, and we'll be filling the transmission to the correct level. One thing I did invest in is this extra large drip pan. It's about 25 bucks. It's available at Napa. Okay, very, very versatile thing to have. Anyway, as I said, about 25 bucks. Haven't had one of these before. I don't do much transmission work. What I do in the transmission field is mostly the manual transmissions, and those, there is a drain plug in the bottom, and you fill it through the side. and this stuff basically comes straight down into a pan, and it's just it's probably about 2.5 quarts to 3 quarts of 90 weight that you go ahead and put in there. But what I did is I took a 5-gallon bucket and I cut it at about the 3/4 level, okay, because I don't really know how much is coming out of here, okay, but this will go ahead and go on there like that. Anything falls out of the transmission, nuts, bolts, screws, any that kind of stuff that you drop while you're doing the pan removal, they go ahead and they conglomerate down in here, so you won't be losing them, and you won't have to go fishing for them. Okay, so when you are ordering parts for the transmission, okay, this vehicle comes with 2 different transmissions. It comes with a 6R60 or a 6R80. Okay, how will you take and find that out? Okay, if you look at the builder's tag, which is on the door, okay, this right here where it says TR and it's got a 6, okay, if this had a 6, had to wait for a plane to go over because we're near LAX here, sorry about that, okay, if this had an X, it would be a 6R60, okay, this has a 6, so it is a 6R80. So if you want to take and order parts for this vehicle, you order parts for a 2012 Ford F150 with a 6R80 transmission, okay? So we bought 5 quarts of oil, okay, which should be enough. And let me show you the kit. Okay, so this right here is a transmission oil change kit. Okay, this is available from Napa, okay, not a sponsor. Okay, this is for the 6R80, okay, and they give you a brand new filter with the O-ring. This goes up into a recess in the bottom of the transmission. So when you take the old one down, okay, make sure that you get this O-ring out. It will either be on the old filter or it will be stuck up in there, but that must come out, okay, because you got a brand new one here. Take lubricate this just a little bit, and then it'll slide right up in there. They give you a brand new pan gasket. You can reuse the old pan gasket, but I got a brand new one here, so I'm going to be using that. And then the filter, or the oil. Okay. So this right here, some filters have screws in them to take and hold them up in here. This one does not. This right here is the only thing that that goes ahead and just holds itself up in there. So you push that back up in there, and then you put the pan on it, and it's low enough where it goes ahead and picks up the fluid. Okay, I just noticed on this one here, before, if it's possible, look at the parts before you take and get them out of the package. Okay, I just looked at this one right here, okay, and we have a problem with this part already. Okay, if you will look right here, okay, there is a crack in this part right here. This part is defective. I'm going to have to take it back on Monday, and I'm going to have to get another one. Okay, so that kind of takes and puts our plans right now on hold. So I'm going to go ahead and drain the transmission, and I'm going to put the pan back up on there with a couple of screws to take and keep it clean. And then Monday morning, I'll go get another filter. Okay, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so as you can see, we have all the bolts except 4, and there's a bolt in each corner that that was left in there because we have all the bolts out, and we didn't want a big splash of transmission fluid. And this pan is working perfectly. I highly recommend you get one of these. Okay, so we're going to let this drain just a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take the 2 back bolts out and let it drain a little bit more, and then once it's drained down some, then we'll take the rest of the bolts out and take the pan down. But we didn't want a big splash of fluid, so we went ahead and did it this way. It keeps it from making such a big mess and everything. Generally, when you take the bolts out, except for the four corners, the pan will not start leaking yet. Okay, so you have a little bit of leeway to take and work on that. But we're going to let this drain for a little while, and then we'll go ahead and take the rest of the bolts out, and I'll be back with you when we get the pan down. Okay? Okay, so we have the transmission oil pan down, and it's a good thing that we used a 5-gallon bucket cut about 3/4 of the way, because you can see in there's quite a bit of fluid in there. That would have easily overflowed, so saved us a mess. This pan was really a lifesaver. That saved us a mess. So 2 tech tips right there. You know, you want to take and do a decent job, you know, you got to have a little bit of equipment. Did I mention that to have this job done at a dealership is about $250? Okay, with 5 quarts of fluid and the replacement filter and pan gasket in here, so far it's about $55. Okay, a little bit of your time. Okay, there is a little bit of transmission fluid that is on the exhaust right here, and there's 2 ways you can take and handle that. After you get the pan back up and you get it torqued to 90 ounces, okay, using the 5/16 or the metric equivalent of that, then you can go after this with some brake clean, or you can just drive it around the freeway for about 20 minutes and it'll burn all that off, and won't be any problem. Getting these bolts back here in the back, I had to take a 5/16 socket on a 1/4 inch ratchet to take and get those. And since I just had 1, 2, and 3, 4 bolts in there to hold the pan up and it wasn't leaking, it made for a very, very easy job. I took the back down first, just loosen these bolts up just a little bit, and it will take and start draining. Sorry about that for the sound quality. Those LAX just won't cooperate at all. But let me show you what the new pan gasket and stuff looks like. So we've taken a pan and we've cleaned it up. Make sure you take and clean the magnet here and you put it back in the position that it's supposed to. But this is really clean. This is ready to go back together. And then here's the old filter, and it happened to come out with the O-ring attached to it. So that was really good. We got that in the pan. We want to make sure we take and get our new filter first before we take and get rid of the old one. And here's the one that's got a crack right here. We still haven't gotten that. But we wanted to compare the pan gasket on here that is supplied in the new kit to make sure that we got the new kit, the correct part number. So we'll just take and exchange this on Monday. But we're ready to go back together with this puppy. So I'm going to pause for now and then pick this back up on Monday. It's Sunday afternoon, about 3 p.m. Okay. So we'll take and do that, and then we'll show you how it goes back together. And more importantly, we will show you how to take and refill the transmission, since there's actually no dipstick. There is a real slick tool that AutoZone has, and I will introduce you to that. And it's really, really easy to take and fill this up from underneath the car and I think you'll really like it. So I think we're ready to go today. Today is Monday, and we've gotten our new transmission oil filter, and this one right here is not cracked, so that's good. We have the pan gasket, which we have matched up to the pan, and you can index it by this 45-degree angle here that goes on the front right hand side as you're looking at the bottom of the transmission, which would be the passenger side. Okay, you also want to take and compare this filter here to the one that you pulled off and make sure it's identical, and it is. Okay, so we have the pan underneath the vehicle that we stored overnight to take and keep the transmission clean. So we're going to be dropping that down, and then we're going to be putting the filter in quick like a bunny, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So we have the pan off of the bottom of the transmission, and overnight we had some more drainage in there, so we're going to go ahead and spill this out. So this right here, these are the transmission shift solenoids. Control all the valves, and this right here is the valve body that routes the hydraulic fluid around to the various drums and clutch packs. And up in here you can just barely see where the insides of the transmission are. Okay, but the area that you're going to be concerned with is right over here by the dipstick. This is a dipstick that comes from outside, okay, and this hole right here is, you want that nice and clean, and that is where your filter is going to go back up in there. Okay, so there we go. Yeah. Okay, so you can see it'll just take and go back in there. The reason you want to put the pan on like quick as a bunny is because there isn't much holding the gasket on the filter in here, so you don't want that to take and drop down. When you set up your work area, set it off to the side because you don't want transmission fluid dripping on you. It gets in your eye, it really does burn, and I have some personal experience on that, so not really a good thing. But this is as far as you have to go to take and service the transmission. So what we're going to do is all of these gasket services all the way around, we're going to be cleaning those off with a lint-free wiper. Okay, those blue paper towels are good for blotting, but we have some other ones that are really good that we found on Amazon. Not a sponsor, but that 45-degree angle goes back here. So this is kind of the left front. If I misspoke, please forgive me. It's not the right front, it's left front. So you can take and line up the gasket on the pan, and then as soon as you get the filter in the hole right here, it should take and stay up in there long enough for you to take and get the pan up. Okay, and then have 2 bolts ready and put 1 on each side, and then it'll take and hold everything together, and then you can take your time getting the remainder of the bolts in. All right, so we got the filter stuck up in there. Seems to be cooperating today. So we have the pan and gasket that are sitting right here. We have our magnet in place. We have our index point, which is right here. We have the pan indexed to that. We have the back corner here. All we need to do is take this, put it up here, shoot a couple of bolts in it, get everything torqued up. On the transmission pan bolts, you can always use an impact wrench for disassembly, but never for assembly, okay? Because they have a tendency to over torque. So we're going to take and run these in by hand, and then we're going to torque them to 90 inch-pounds. Okay, and then the next thing we do is we are going to fill it up with fluid, and there's a little trick to that, and I'll show you all about that. So we have the pan is all torqued down, okay, and when you torque everything, go all the way around twice, make sure everything's torqued, and next thing to do is to fill it back up with fluid, okay. The fill is right here on the passenger side, okay, and it's a cap. You just go ahead and unscrew this off. There's a dipstick inside. Pull the dipstick out. Okay. You put this someplace where it's clean. Okay. How are you going to take and fill this up? This is a problem. Ford is not the easiest one to fill, but let me show you what we've come up with. Now, I found this little tool at AutoZone. This one right here, it goes directly onto the top of the oil bottles, and this is part number 10106, and is a transfluid gear oil spout. So since it's connected right onto the bottle, you can take this cap off, and you can put a bottle of oil on there. You can stick this right into the spout, and you can fill it up all day, and you won't make a mess. Okay, and this is a very wonderful tool. It's only like $6. Okay, at AutoZone, not a sponsor, but we're going to be using this to take and fill transmission up. We drained out 6 3/4 quarts. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put in 4, and then we're going to run a little bit for just a minute or so to get things circulated. Then we are going to check the level and add the rest. Okay, and we'll go ahead and top it off. Alright, so what we did is we put 4 quarts in originally, transmission fluid type Mercon, and we went ahead and ran it just a little bit, get the oil flowing in there, get it warmed up, and then the next morning we went ahead and put in 2 more quarts, and so that's 6 quarts total, and the amount drained out equaled the amount put back in. We checked the dipstick. Dipstick is right where it should be. One thing that we do is whenever we do service or we do anything, changing fluids and stuff like that, we put a sticker on the door, okay, let them know when it was done. And this one will have another sticker on it that says the tran's been exchanged. So I've gone ahead and put that label on there. That's when the transmission has been serviced, so people will be up on their reminders. We recommend changing our oil about every 3,500 miles. Some say 5,000, some say 8,000, 10,000. We've seen enough damage in engines that we want to take and keep them lubricated when they should. Okay, so this one here is basically done. We closed the door on this book. While we were working on this, we had our old collision job, the 2019 Honda, come in for service. So we went ahead and changed the oil and filter on that. And they were saying that when the vehicle was under high-speed stopping, like on the freeway, that there was a little bit of squeaking sound, but there wasn't a pulsing sound. So pulsing sound can mean that you have something wrong with the brake rotor, or one of the hubs is bad. That was neither the case. What had happened is it looks like they hit something and they took the backing plate and bent it up along the rotor. So that's what was causing the sound. So we went ahead and fixed that, took it on block a couple of times, everything is fine. Just one final note on this device right here. When you're using this AutoZone tool, and really like this one because it really takes and saves me some time and everything, this screws directly onto the bottle of transmission fluid. This right here is actually a valve that you can put a bottle of fluid on here, turn it upside down, and nothing will come out until you twist this and open this valve up. And that's yet another way you can avoid making a mess, and then you can take and see it go into the transmission. Saves a lot of time. Really like this one. It's about $6 and some change with tax and everything, so we really like this one. As for the labels, we use this Rhino 5200 by Dymo, and it prints on various size tapes, and we've had this for a little while. We've been using this for a little while. Can't always find lube stickers, so when we see a sticker on the door, we know it's ours, and because we know what kind we put on there. So this is another Amazon deal, not very expensive. Takes 6 batteries in it and everything. You label everything. Amazon's not a sponsor. Really like their stuff. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed seeing how transmission can be serviced here at about half the price that it would take to take it to the dealership or a shop. Okay, you can go ahead and compare the price, about $250 for labor and materials, and we did this one for about $90. Okay, so, and that's basically the fluid, a new gasket, and a new filter, and it really needed to be changed. So now everything is 100% on here, so we'll be going for registration for this really soon. Okay, anyway, we really appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for all of the comments. Wonderful comments. Really really great bunch of people out there watching my channel. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Hope I have helped you out in my own little way, showing you how to take and do things in an inexpensive way, especially when the times as they are. Things are really expensive. Labor's expensive, parts are expensive. You can save $1. You know, please try it yourself. Take a slow, methodical approach, and it will go well for you. Anyway, thanks for subscribing. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.